If you already use coding agents every day, then you already know that the speed's real and that the leverage is real. Once you start working this way, you don't ever really want to go back. But I also think there is a pretty obvious problem with this market right now. A lot of the products feel like they were designed to keep the UI tidy and not to keep the developer in the loop. There's too much hiding, there's too much abstraction, there's too much distance between you and what the agent is actually doing. And I think that that's the wrong direction. That is why we've built Cosine. We built it around a very simple idea that if an agent is working on your code, you should be able to see exactly what it's doing while it's doing it, not just at the end. You should be able to see what it's found, what it's doing now, what it plans to do next. You should be able to inspect the context window and understand what's taking up space. You should be able to run things in parallel and actually track them on a granular level, and you should be able to do it from any platform or device and share everything with your team. That's why the product looks the way it does. In our CLI, for example, we chose to add a persistent sidebar because we believe some information should stay visible. We expose context because we think developers should be able to inspect the machinery. We show progress updates because if the agent is moving through a task, you shouldn't have to guess where it is. This is an opinionated design choice. We're not trying to reduce the product into the smallest possible surface area. We're trying to give developers more signal. Because if you're collaborating with an agent, the last thing you want is to sit there for 5 minutes while it quietly heads in the wrong direction, burns tokens, and gives you something that you'd have redirected almost immediately had you had more visibility. That's one half of Cosine. The other half, and I think this is the deeper half, is the model. A lot of people still talk about the model as if it's this thing that you just plug in, wrap a product around, and that's the game. But I don't think that's the game. I think that once the base intelligence is strong enough, the real question becomes, what behaviors are you training for? Let's not forget that engineers interact with these models hundreds of times a day, so feel matters. Are you training the model to keep the user in the loop? Are you training the model to give useful intermediate updates rather than filler? Are you training it to be direct or to be proactive in the right way? To do the work itself rather than asking the user to do something that it could obviously have done? Does it feel like Opus, stream like Flash, and explain like 5.4? And then there's the code. Because one of the big problems in AI coding right now is that a model can look impressive while quietly making the codebase worse. It completes the task, sure, but the patch overreaches. It writes new utilities instead of reusing ones that are already there. It ignores the shape of the codebase. Complexity creeps up. Slop piles up over time. Now that works fine in a demo or in the early stages of a project, but it doesn't last long in an existing mature codebase. So we train against that. We care about correctness, obviously, but we also care about the quality of the edit. We care whether the code is clean. We care whether the model is making disciplined changes. We care about whether it respects patterns that already exist, instead of acting like every task starts from a blank page. That is where our point of view really shows up. Cosine is opinionated in the interface, opinionated in the workflow, and opinionated in the model training. We're not trying to be generic. We're not trying to be everything to everyone. We're trying to build the coding product that makes an engaged developer immediately feel, yes, this team has the same standards I do. So if you're already using coding agents, try Cosine. Because this is what it looks like when a team makes deliberate decisions about how the product should work, how the model should behave, and what code quality actually means in a real code base. That's Cosine.